So, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. Let's start with some prayers. So I hope you can see that. Maybe just refuge in the four immeasurables. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the sacred happiness devoid of suffering. And may they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the sacred happiness devoid of suffering. May they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the sacred happiness devoid of suffering. And may they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. Then one supplication to Buddha Shakyamuni. With skillful means and compassion, you were born in the Shakya clan. Unconquerable by others, you vanquished Mara's hordes. Your physical form resplendent like a mountain of gold. To you, the king of the Shakyas, I pay homage. Thank you. So, welcome to this Bodhicaryavatara class. I just thought, look, here, this thing that was posted by Siddhartha's intent on Facebook, this is exactly what we are just recited, you know, like how Buddha Shakyamuni was, what is it saying, was vanquishing the hordes of the Maras. So, I hope you're very well. And yeah, welcome to this endless discussion on patience here. It has been a while, but yeah, the Bodhicaryavatara is also dedicating many verses on patience, because Shantideva is saying it is, it's the best quality or the best practice or the best fortitude that we can have. And so patience is really like protecting our mind, and especially from anger or hatred, which is so destructive to our mental peace and happiness and to our good heart. So therefore, patience is so important. And as you surely remember, Shantideva is going through many different situations in which we need patience. Basically, whatever unpleasant situation we are in. And classically, we can divide them in two. You know, an unpleasant situation can be either because we don't get what we want, or we get what we don't want. That's basically it, you know. And then we react with aversion or anger or frustration or dissatisfaction. And so first we have to recognize that dissatisfaction or suffering, how Buddha called it in the First Noble Truth. And then here the main antidote in this chapter of the Bodhicaryavatara is patience. And dissatisfaction, like many, I know some teachers who like that translation instead of suffering, and literally it is dukkha, you know, in Sanskrit, and it means that that a wheel is not rotating well, you know, it's not there's some unevenness, you know, in the rotation of a wheel, and because the axis is not really, the wheel and axis are not properly connected. So that is the samsaric state, you know, that not going well, you know, and not flowing properly, not rotating properly. And the opposite would be, of course, enlightenment, or in Sanskrit, the opposite of dukkha would be sukha, which is like, yeah, it's that it's rotating smoothly, and that is bliss. So instead of dukkha, instead of that dissatisfaction, here we are practicing patience to not get entangled more in samsara, but to really get out of samsara, and also lead other beings out of samsara, and that is the state of bliss. Okay, and when we look into the text, I think we are today starting with verse 87, and here it is this part of difficult situation that we are facing is when we are when things happen that we don't want. And as I said earlier, Shantideva has many different different classifications within that, always, or many different situations. And here the main the main theme is always that we wish good things for ourselves. You know, we want happiness, we want good reputation, we want to hear pleasant words, we want to be famous, and we want to. So that is one thing that we want, and then simultaneously with that, of course, we dislike the opposite. So we want to be free from suffering. We want to be free from disrepute. We want to be free from unpleasant words. We want to be free from defamation. And simultaneously with that, also, we wish these bad things to our enemies. And that is the topic, at the beginning of the topic today. So that we wish that our enemies have suffering, that our enemies have a bad reputation, that our enemies are hearing unpleasant words, or that we are or we are happy that our enemies lose their fame or position. So that is the general setup in samsara. And now the first verses here, 87 and 88 and 89, they are then talking about if these bad things that we wish for our enemy, if they are sort of supposed to happen, but then somebody is preventing that. So our enemies are not getting into the bad situations, and because somebody is preventing the suffering of the enemies, and therefore the enemy is happy. And that is the situation now that Shantideva is talking about, that we need to be patient even if somebody is preventing our enemies to suffer, or to hear unpleasant words, or to experience disrespect or lack of fame. And these verses actually, I hope you got the logic. I don't know if I explained it good enough, but basically it is about jealousy. You know, we are jealous that our enemies don't suffer, but we are jealous that they're having a good time, or that they are, that they're in a good position, that people speak highly of them. And Shantideva, in his usual style, is yes, of course, he's also pointing fingers sometimes at others, like at the samsaric beings, but often he is pointing fingers to his own mind, and he's asking himself, why am I so jealous? Why can't I be happy if my enemies are happy? why do I suffer if they are happy? Or why do I want the enemy to be unhappy? So these are the questions that Shantideva is asking his own mind, and of course he's inviting us to ask our own minds, you know. And yes, we might not have like permanent arch enemies, but maybe there are some people we have problems with at the moment, or that we dislike, and then maybe on a small dosage we are sort of rejoicing if they are facing difficulties. So that kind of situation. So maybe I just start with the first verse here, 87. I can share that here. Da-da-dum. So 87 in the sixth chapter. Even if your enemy is made unhappy, what is there for you to be joyful about? So you is Shantideva's mind, you know, he's, as I said, you know, he's talking to himself in a non-psychiatric way. You are merely wishing for him to be hurt, did not cause him to be injured. So if our enemy is unhappy, you know, because he or she suffers from problems, maybe in business, or being insulted or scolded, or bigger ones, you know, losing material things or losing family members, you know, then if you really perceive that person as an enemy, then our jealous mind will sort of be happy about that, you know, and it's like tasting victory or something, you know, or, you know, because we are so competitive. And Shantideva is asking his own mind then, yes, why are you joyful about it? You know, that the suffering of that enemy, you know, is really not benefiting you actually, you know. It's not that their suffering is removing your suffering. It's just not really related. You know, if somebody else has headache, you know, my toothache is not gone, you know, by that. It's totally, so why, you know, what are you doing, you jealous mind, you know? And even if you have the feeling, you know, if you're like in direct competition with this person, maybe because she or he is a colleague, you know, at work, and even if the suffering, you know, of that person is benefiting you, then here the last two lines are then there are different explanations on that. So like one understanding could be like, even if their suffering is benefiting you, then please understand that your wish that they are suffering is not really harming them, you know. So that is, I think, yeah, that's how it's very obviously to be explained, you know, here. So therefore the advice is don't have the wish to harm them, you know, because it's not harming them anyway, you know. So stop your malevolent mind, you know, stop your cruel heart, you know, but yeah, overcome your jealousy and develop compassion and so on. And some other commentators, they say, according to these last two lines here in 87, that if we have that sadist mind, basically, you know, that is harming ourselves, you know, we suffocate our mind, you know, we make our mind blind, and we create distance to others, and that is basically mainly then bringing suffering to ourselves. That is what some commentaries add to this, and that I mean, that was already explained earlier, that anger or jealousy or all the negative emotions, they are the main victim of them is always ourselves. You know, we are suffering if we are angry with somebody, you know. Of course, we might also hurt the other person if we scold him or her or beat him or her and so on. But the main the main suffering is actually happening in our mind, because we lose our mental peace, we lose our joy, we lose our sleep, appetite, and good mood, and everything. Yeah, maybe I just today explain 2 more verses, and then let's discuss, because then that part is sort of complete. So verse 88, still the same topic, like 89 also. And even if he, the enemy, does suffer as you have wished, what is there for you to be joyful about? Yeah, it's also in Tibetan, it's very similar to the second line of 87. What is there for you to be joyful about? So even if my jealous mind, or my hostile wish, would have that power, to inflict suffering on others, again, why is that making you happy? It's not removing your own suffering, but actually this jealousy is totally perverted and anti-Bodhisattva and meaningless. And jealousy, whoever has experienced that might remember it's also very long lasting, like if you have enough fantasy and enough fear and enough aversion, jealousy can really last long. And then Shantideva is saying, if you say, for I shall be satisfied, how could there be anything more wretched than that? So that the argument could be, yes, okay, jealousy or anger, yes, has a side effect on myself too. I might feel miserable a little bit, but that's fine, as long as the enemy is suffering. So we might think like that, and we think that is enough satisfaction. If my enemy is suffering, and then I don't mind my own suffering coming from my anger or jealousy, then Shantideva is saying there's nothing more wretched or stupid or malevolent than this, because as I said, like jealousy or anger is really destroying so much our positive mind or positive outlook, pure perception, merit, devotion, and other good qualities. And even on a worldly level, like of course people will leave us, if we are angry and jealous, so we become lonely, depressed, and food will not be tasty anymore. We can't sleep properly, and so on. And of course, we also we are breaking our Bodhisattva vow, basically, where it says, we should not abandon sentient beings. So, and that will come in the next verse also, that it is the negative emotions, as I said, they will mainly destroy us, and we will suffer. I mean, maybe just in a worldly sense, if we kill somebody out of anger, it's, yes, of course, that poor person has died, so that person suffered and maybe is suffering still, but we will also suffer a lot, we might be put in jail, and we destroy our whole life as well, so there's a lot of, just egoistically speaking, I mean, we should not be angry and we should not harm others. And this then is illustrated in the next verse, and then I stop my monologue. So there's this example of a fishing scenario. So this hook cast by the fishermen of disturbing conceptions. So this, I just read the whole thing. Is unbearable sharp. Having been caught on it, it is certain that I shall be cooked in cauldrons by the guardians of hell. So that is a drastic example. So if a fish is caught on a hook, that was thrown out by a fisherman, then of course the fish is suffering because it's being caught and pierced, and then it's getting fried and cooked, in a by the cook in a pan or a pot. And so that is the example. And then if we relate it to the topic here, then the fishermen, these are the kleshas we have, like in general, or the wrong view or dualistic view. And then, so these kleshas then create the hook. So the fisherman is throwing out the hook. So the kleshas create the hook, which is like this jealousy, the jealous wish here, you know, or the hostile wish here, that we wish other beings to suffer. And this hook is catching us, you know, the fish that are we. And the fish then will be thrown into hell. That is the pen or the pot. And that, yeah, we know from previous chapters, because negative emotions create negative karma, and then negative karma creates negative situations in the future, which can be like a full-grown realm like the hell. And then in the hell, there are these guardians of hell, and these are the cooks, you know, who are cooking us then in the cauldron, or in the pan or the pot. So this is again more emphasizing on how self-destructive it is to have negative emotions. You know, if we have this ignorance and these negative emotions, and which are the fishermen, then we create the negative wishes, jealous wishes, hostile wishes, the hook, and that will catch us, the fish, and then the result is, yeah, that we accumulate a lot of negative karma, and that can manifest in, I don't know, depends, of course, in a small negative situation, like, even though it's not so small, but let's say migraine, because I think that is coming in the 8th chapter, or like a big negative manifestation, which could be a complete rebirth in a hell realm. So that is the pen or the pot in which the fish is fried. And then, in the hell realm, then also we have the experience of guardians of hell who are cooking us and making us suffer. So Shantideva is asking his own mind, or our minds, I guess, also to remember that, and remember that cause and effect relationship, and remember this tremendous suffering that is possible in every corner in samsara, and therefore he's asking us, to practice patience, give up these hostile wishes, give up this jealousy and anger, and be more kind, you know, and to each other, and care about others. So that would be it about this topic. You know, these 3 verses are about how we deal if our enemy is having a good time, and especially if somebody is removing their suffering. What do you think? What did you say, Linda? I saw. Oh, I can't hear you.
Well, I'm brand new to this group. Thank you very much for the share.
You're welcome.
I have touched on to Shantideva. I guess I want to say, of all the clashes, of all the emotions, the most embarrassing for me is jealousy. I'll tell you I'm sad. I'll even say I'm angry or lazy or greedy, but I hate to say I'm jealous. Hate it. And so the way it manifests in my life is my main relationship, of which I have none right now. So I'm kind of free of it. It's very minor with friends and family, but if it's my guy, And it's kind of inherited. It was in my childhood, in my family. It's probably got deep roots. So I don't like it. It's very auspicious that I came here and this was your topic, because it is stupid. I mean, it's stupid to be jealous.
Yes, that's what the comment. Thank you. That's what the commentaries say. It's stupid to be jealous, exactly. But please don't blame your parents for it. Because, yeah, of course, we learn from our parents, and but also, yeah, I think we have a lot of luggage from previous lives, you know, of tendencies of being jealous. So, yeah.
Well, I chose them, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, you came to similar-minded people.
So it's gotten better, but it's not totally disappeared. So I don't know how to make it totally disappear, except not giving up, maybe.
Yeah, it's a long journey. I mean, like only Buddha is really free from jealousy, you know, and of course, the great bodhisattvas, they have overcome the big thing of jealousy, but there can always be small traces here and there, you know. But at some point they will fade and will be overcome. But yeah, at the moment, it's our default setting in samsara, you know, to be competitive and jealous, and it takes a long time because it's an ingrained habit that we have. Nevertheless, it is removable. Yes, it is. We can work on it. Yeah.
What I'm kind of feeling, hope I can say this right, is it almost feels like I'm protecting my ego by being mad at that other woman, say. And I've restrained from ever saying anything bad, but I would feel it like, oh, she's not that good. And I want to tell my partner, but I don't. But it feels like I'm protecting myself or making myself better so they won't leave me or something like that. I have to look at it more closely, but I don't have a relationship, so oh well.
Yeah, so at the moment it might be more dormant and not activated.
Yeah, and it's a fear if I get in a relationship. I don't want feeling. So anyway, that's my share. Hello, everybody.
But maybe it's also a good thing, you know, because in a relationship, sometimes the emotions are so strong that they are overwhelming. And maybe also now as a single person, there could be still moments of jealousy, and they're maybe more workable, you know, because they are smaller. Like, for example, if you have your best girlfriend and she is sharing something with another third person, but you think, oh, she should have shared it with me. So maybe there's also some jealousy coming in, but on a smaller dosage. So maybe then that allows you to have more space and insight into it, you know.
Yes, I'll remember that. Thank you.
Anybody else on something that Shantideva has said here? Gayatri.
Hi, Arne.
Hi.
And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. First time I'm joining the group. So I think I missed the earlier teachings. Sorry about that. But I just wanted to say about jealousy is it's something that I used to feel a lot, more in terms of feeling left out, you know, feeling that good things are happening to other people, but not to me. And I think the process of Buddhism and meditation helped me a lot in that, because what it did is it moved my focus from what other people have or don't have to what I have and what I want. And the more I think the sense of self gets clarified, the path that you are on, you realize that, and as I think especially as we study the aspects of Buddhism, like, you know, the interdependence or karma, or, you know, you realize that you just see other people as being happy or what they have at a very surface level. And sometimes that's what we show people is not actually what's going on. And when you kind of realize that everything is interlinked, everything is interdependent, and we are bearing the fruits of our own past actions that we may be not mindful of, then you don't really want something that's not meant for you. And I'm not saying it's, or as you said, you know, none of us are completely free of it. But I think we come to a greater understanding of why I don't think I have the things I have and why I have the things I have. And you become a little bit more responsible for your actions and your future outcomes. So I think that has helped me a little bit in the sense of I have friends who have good things happening to them, and I realize that their things are happening to them because of a certain progression of their actions, intentions, causes, influences. And it's like a snowflake or a fingerprint when no two things are exactly alike. So I will not have the same outcomes as another person. So I just think this whole process, it's difficult to wrap one's head around it, but once the deeper you get into it, and I'm grateful for your sharing these kind of teachings and explaining them, because the more one gets steeped into it, one realizes that we are each unique in that way. And therefore our outcomes don't belong to others and others' outcomes cannot belong to us. If that helps anybody.
Thank you. Yeah. I also just now I'm not now, but these days I'm in a discussion with Tashi Coleman, in case you know him, and he gave a nice example in a totally different context, but I think it fits to Gayatri's thing. So that we have. Normally I say we are living in different worlds. You know, like it really doesn't matter how physically close we are, but we experience, of course, exactly the results of our own karma, causes and conditions and so on, even though we are in the same room. And the example that Tashi gave, but it was another context, was like when he was in Halifax driving with Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche in a train, you know, then for him, Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche is the Buddha, you know, and for him that is like the Buddha field, that is a special moment and situation. But then for the other passengers in the train, they have no idea, you know, they might even bump into Rinpoche, you know, in the train. And so really like being super close. But for them, it's just an ordinary, normal gray work day, you know, and without any deeper meaning and so on, you know. So, and yeah, it's also true here. I live in a house with, I don't know, 20 people, maybe, in each one in their own apartments. Yeah, and we live so closely together, but we have so different lives, and therefore it is. I think it's like really meaningless to compare oneself constantly with others, even though of course I do it, you know. But I tame myself, like Gayatri was saying, it's meaningless, and we all get what we deserve anyway, karmically speaking. And and other people they might, like on Facebook, they might look very happy, but maybe there's so much more suffering behind, you know, and so much pain. And so therefore Shantideva is always saying, not always saying, but the main idea is always to not look outwardly like that, you know, don't compare yourself with others, but understand that they are all suffering, and be compassionate with them. I mean, that's sort of the message. But yeah, I find it really interesting. Even if one is watching the same movie together, you know, we perceive it so differently. It's and we have so many other reference points, how we get the story or the characters. It's amazing. So on that level, we are really alone, sort of, you know. We cannot really share much.
I totally get what you're saying. Also, in terms of a class, the same class that you are teaching us, each one of us in the room takes away a different sentence or a different trigger and applies it to our own life in a completely different way. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
And this is me saying one thing and you guys perceiving it your way. But with the Buddha, it's even greater because he or she intentionally is doing that. You know, he's saying, how he's saying things or what words he's using and what topic he's talking on. He's intentionally sending it out in, I mean, it looks like maybe one thing, but it's intentionally tailor-made for each of you, you know. But in my case, it's only accident, you know. I just say my whatever I know and can share, which is like one version. But still, we have how much 11 different perceptions of it. But with the Buddha, that is even much greater because he or she is like intentionally sending out these 11 versions at one moment and in all different languages at the same time. So it's like even more inconceivable. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. I find always how yeah, everything is so subjective and based on one's own capabilities or inclinations and perception. Ishani.
Hello, Arne. Hi, everyone. So good to see everyone. So I was thinking, Arne, with these 3 stanzas, you know, I really appreciate how Arya Shantideva, he's kind of attacking in a way the ignorance we have, because, you know, we have a certain idea, I feel, of what leads to what. So let's say if someone has some negative emotion towards us, sometimes we feel that it is in a way our responsibility to, you know, teach them a lesson type of thing. I don't know about, you know, others, but it's, I feel that's a very common way of thinking in general. So I think like just by kind of saying, okay, like I think it was the 87th stanza where he says that it's not like if you inflict harm, it's actually wish them harm, it's actually going to result into harm, right? So I think he's like in a very skillful way correcting our understanding of what leads to what. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Exactly. We are not the powerful God, you know, who can just make other people suffering, even though our anger wishes to do so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing related, Arne, because you were mentioning this, our Bodhisattva vow, right? Which is that we should not abandon other beings. And in my experience, I feel that sometimes because I have limited wisdom, you know, then sometimes that vow can be taken too literally. And like, let's say someone has a negative affliction towards you, or you have a negative affliction towards someone else. Then one, I don't know, please, I'd want to hear from your perspective. What one skillful way could be is just separating yourself from the situation so that this person and you do not have as much interaction. And this could actually be really not abandoning sentient beings, because then, you know, you are protecting them from yourself and yourself from them in a way. And that, in my understanding, is the best way to not abandon sentient beings. But I feel sometimes even I have this kind of dilemma, because I feel like, you know, literally, like physically separating yourself might seem like you're abandoning, but actually just kind of being physically in the same spot might be causing more harm than good. I don't know.
Yeah, that is yes, definitely. And that depends on on the individual and also on your present ability, you know, like yeah, sometimes it's better to go into the other room and or have a walk, you know, and then continue, and or have a whole night's sleep and then continue to discuss. So sometimes distance or renunciation is necessary, and sometimes maybe one is possible to immediately bring in compassion and transform the situation like that. Yeah, that really depends on your strength in that situation. And yeah, the example is with alcohol. You know, if I'm an alcoholic, then yes, if that is a strong tendency of mine, then it's better not to go to the bar, you know, for a while, you know, because that's too tempting to drink. So likewise, if I'm in the mood at the moment to fight or be jealous or be angry with somebody, then it's better not to be close, you know, to that person, because then it's too easy that it manifests and that I do and say things that will hurt him or her and me now and in the future. So therefore, sometimes, yeah, distance is the best method, but yeah, never with the idea of abandoning that person, but just to not harm that person and to find to take the time to find a better, constructive, positive, compassionate solution. Definitely. It's like the monks, you know, they are, for example, since I think nobody here looks like a nun or monk, but of course I don't know, but ordination is that distancing, you know. For example, not having sex and then not having relationships, and therefore, like Lynn was saying, therefore then no strong jealousy maybe is coming up because we are distancing ourselves from relationships. That is a helpful method, that distance. It's of course not the solution, because the tendencies to be jealous are still there. But maybe the jealousy manifests in a little bit less, in a weaker way than in a relationship. So then the nuns and monks can maybe deal with that more properly, because yeah, it's not getting too intense. But yeah, the distance apparently in Buddhism is like the ordination is a good, it's a very valid method. It's not the ultimate goal, but for many people, it's the best method.
Thank you, Arne.
Thank you. Okay, let's see what the next verses say. It's of course again on patience, and here it's more about that we're not talking about the enemies so much anymore, but more that ourselves or our friends and relatives, we are sort of supposed to be happy, but somebody is disturbing that, you know. So somebody is obstructing our happiness. And here in verse 90, it is especially about honor, praise, and fame, and so on. So the honor of praise and fame will not turn into merit nor life. It will give me neither strength nor freedom from sickness, and will not provide any physical happiness. So yeah, the idea is subconsciously or consciously, or sometimes more strong and sometimes less strong, we all want to be respected, honored, or have a good name, or being praised, and so on. And then Shantideva is saying that this is sort of useless. You know, it's one of the 8 worldly dharmas that makes us weak if we long for that too much. Of course, as a normal human being like me, we sort of need that. Of course, we need some acknowledgement and so on. You know, that is clear. You know, but if we are like, but still we can be overly attached to that and overly eager to get that all the time. And then Shantideva here is saying, that even if we get it, you know, it's not really substantially helpful. You know, it will not bring merit or benefit, you know, in this or future lives, you know, and it will also not bring like longevity or health and and it will not provide any physical happiness that comes from food or drink and so on, you know. So fame and praise and so on, they are not really beneficial, and also they are, of course, that comes later in the 10th chapter. They are of course empty by nature, you know. Like if there's fame, there is like it, or let's say somebody's praising us with words. There is no there's no substance to it, you know. It's like it's just an empty sound, you know. It's called, you know, or it's like an echo, you know. And it is appearing but empty. I mean, we know that from dreams or illusions or rainbows. They appear, so sound appears, the sound of praise, but at the same time, there is no real substance. So there's no true existence to it. So therefore, if we look at it from the relative perspective, how Shantideva is doing it here in verse 90, but then also remember what he will say in the 9th chapter about the illusory nature of sound or of praise, or the empty nature of things, then then there is really no need to try to grasp it, you know, like with a rainbow, you know. It's no need to run after it and try to get a piece of it, you know, and bring it home, you know, and preserve it. But just of course we can enjoy it, but then let it go, you know, at the same time. And I don't know if you know Khyentse Rinpoche, but there's one verse he was singing. It's this one: every sound is sound and emptiness, like the sound of an echo's roll. In the reaches of sound and emptiness, just let go and go where no mind goes. There's also a nice melody to it. And but the idea is it's just like an echo, you know. You can hear it, but it's not really there, you know. And as I said, we of course we need some encouragement, we need self-confidence, you know, we need acknowledgement, yes, but as always, it's just a question of the right dosage, you know. If we lack self-confidence, then it's good, and we should appreciate the praise, but we should not use the praise to get arrogant, you know, or looking down at others, you know, or we should not use praise and thinking we are better than others. That is not the aim, you know. But if we get praise and acknowledgement, that's fine. But not spend our whole life to get more of that. That is also coming later, you know. Some, I think in verse 92, that we do so many stupid things just for the fame, for example. Maybe I just. Galaxy A3 is saying hello, and I say hello too, but no idea who's hiding behind. Could be a human being. Okay, 91. So where are we? Here. And if I were aware of what held meaning for me, what value would I find in these things? If all I want is a little mental happiness, I should devote myself to gambling, drinking, and so forth. And Shantideva is talking to monks. It's applicable, of course, to everyone, but I think it's especially funny that he's saying that to monks. So the beginning of the verse. So if we really contemplate properly, you know, and maybe are even wise, then we might not see really a benefit or meaning in praise, you know, like, but especially here as bodhisattvas, and we are already in the 6th chapter. So Shantideva is assuming we have some training. So then, bodhisattvas would see that bodhicitta is beneficial. So that is what they are aiming at, you know, that is what they are hungry for. not fame or praise. You know, so that is a shift of direction. And then we might have the doubt, okay, but if we get praise, if we have some fame, a good position and a good name, then there is some instant gratification. You know, we have some happiness, some bliss, some joy. And then Shantideva is saying, if that is the case, I should devote myself to gambling, drinking, and so forth. So Shantideva is saying, if we want that instant gratification, that entertainment, that kind of happiness, then that is actually easier to get by just having, I don't know, drinking alcohol, taking drugs, gambling, or even having sex. It's written in the commentaries, you know, that so we can do, let's say, gambling and sex we can have, or even gambling maybe is the best example here, because that is even looked down on by lay people, you know. So of course, in the monastery, gambling or sex is not allowed, you know, and therefore, and so sarcastically, he's saying then gambling would bring more happiness, or could be a good substitute for fame. But the main point is, like gambling and sex is not allowed in the monastery, likewise, the wish for fame should also not be allowed. That is the main point, you know. And of course, gambling or alcohol, that is a big thing, you know, that is very easy to detect, you know, if the monks or nuns are doing that. But this wish for fame or praise and so on, that is, of course, more hidden, and that should be equally not allowed in a monastery. That was the point here. And then maybe the next verse, and then we can discuss again. And I will share it. If for the sake of fame I give away my wealth or get myself killed, what can the mere words of fame do then? Once I have died, to whom will they give pleasure? And of course, monks or nuns don't have wealth and so on, but still, as long as we're in samsara, we might, to a certain extent, have that wish, you know, to be famous or to be respected, and in that endeavor, we do many strange and unnecessary things. You know, for example, we might give away our wealth because we maybe want to impress others also, you know, or we want to be the generous sponsor, or we even get killed, you know, like we sacrifice our own life or our own body, you know. For example, if we go to a war to be a war hero, or maybe we are terrorists, you know, with suicide bomb, you know, to be famous in that tradition, or or people do other things, you know, like I don't know what is called, America Got Talent, or things like that. Those shows, you know, maybe you do strange tricks that are dangerous just to be famous. Or the classic example is you want to climb Mount Everest just to be famous, but then you die on the way. You know, that's possible. And my personal example is my brother when he was 9 and we were on the street, and he wanted to impress a girl on the street, so he was driving bicycle without his hands, you know, and then he ran into a car, you know, and had to stay 3 days in hospital. So nothing serious happened, but still, you know, just to be famous or to be noticed, you know, we do stupid things, and that could endanger our lives. And so Shantideva is asking, so what can these mere words of fame do, you know? As I said in short here with the song, you know, it's like, it's just empty sound, you know, the fame, you know, it's just a sound that is and that is meant here also with mere, mere means it's just a word, there's no substance to it, no true existence to it. And especially if we die, on while climbing the Mount Everest or while suicidingly bombing ourselves, then really, what is the benefit then that we are, for us, that we are famous? We can't even hear that praise anymore. So there's really no instant gratification anymore, and therefore it is very childish that we run after fame so much, because it's really it leads. It makes us do stupid things, and it's not really helpful. Okay, one more verse, because there's a nice example, and then let's discuss. So when there's, I'm not sharing it, right? When their sandcastles collapse, children howl in despair. Likewise, when my praise and reputation decline, my mind becomes like a little child. Yeah, this sandcastle example comes again and again. And here is one picture for that verse. So the child cries because the sandcastle is gone. And you might know this guy who is always very eager to build sandcastles. And I don't know if you can see that properly. So he is building the whole time the sandcastle. Then, of course, either the flood or the rain is coming. And then in the end, the sandcastle is gone. And he's saying, there's a lesson to be learned here somewhere, but I don't know what it is. So, but Shantideva knows the lesson. So, poor Linus. So here the idea is, Shantideva is quite often, also in the 8th chapter, is comparing our mental state like childish, I mean, he's doing that here already, but in verse 93. He's not looking down at kids, but just how parents see children building a sandcastle over many hours, and the last one of Linus was so big, as you have seen. So he played there, I guess, the whole afternoon. And then the children get, I mean, it's obviously impermanent, obviously it's not a real castle. It's obviously just an appearance of a castle. But nevertheless, a childish mind is then developing attachment to that castle, and want to have it permanently with them, and then because of that attachment, therefore, when the rain sets in or the flood is coming, then the child is suffering, and that is so unnecessary. That is the point of the sandcastle example. And therefore the parents, yes, they can, like the parents are the Buddhas here in this case, then yes, they play along with the child, like, yes, it's a castle, and we could live here in the tower and so on. But they know it's an impermanent thing, and they know it's not a castle, and they're not getting attached. And therefore, they have, of course, compassion with the childish beings who get attached to sandcastles and then suffer from their destruction. And so the idea here is that fame is like a sandcastle. That is in this example here. And therefore Shantideva is saying, when praise or reputation is declining, like when the sandcastle is dissolving, then my mind becomes like a little child, we are crying and and we are suffering a lot, and we forget that it is that fame is very impermanent and without substance. And also, wait, I wanted to show you another verse that makes sense here. In case you have studied the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, which is also a wonderful text. And there's one verse that fits, and it is here. Wait. Yeah. Like the dew that remains for a moment or two on the tips of the grass and then melts with the dawn, the pleasures or here fame we find in the courses of our lives last only an instant, they cannot endure. And then opposed to that, while the freedom we gain when becoming a Buddha is a blissful, sukha, what we heard in the beginning, attainment, not subject to change. Aim every effort to this wondrous achievement. The sons and daughters of the Buddhas all practice this way. So that is, again, in the 9th chapter, that will be emphasized by Shantideva to really see everything, I don't know, like a sandcastle, rainbow, dream, echo, mirage, reflection. Things appear perfectly, nicely. And yeah, how Gayatri was saying, based on causes and conditions coming together on the relative level, appearing very nicely. But yeah, but they're not really there, they're not truly existent, they're not really permanent. And therefore, yeah, no need to exhaust ourselves by running after them or getting attached to them and then crying about them when we lose them. And like here, maybe Linus from the Peanuts, he was maybe thinking, yeah, the sandcastle will last for 1,000 years, and people will praise it, for eternity. And so it's not like that with nothing in this world. So, and fame is the example here, that we are so eagerly wanting fame and that we do so stupid things for fame. So Shantideva is saying fame is just like a sandcastle. So, what do you think? What do you want to discuss about these verses?
Arne.
Emilia.
It really just fits in as a glove. I have from my own experience, I work in academia, and I started in 1999 to be a full-time academic. And it's been from many, many years of absolute, complete attachment to fame, to wanting more and more and more, 70 hours a week of work, no weekends, everything. I praise and the reputation. Yeah, it came and I got the title I wanted and everything. And then through quite a number of tsunamis, in 2015, I saw the light. That's when I embraced Buddhism. But it had to be hit so hard, so many times. And then slowly but surely, now, I just decline, invitations here and there. It's not really a big deal anymore. There is still, I also still feel jealousy, and I feel embarrassed by that, but it still exists. But it's really like looking in, wow, the whole thing is all made up. Actually, I think the whole, a lot of the science people are so, it's so serious. Not really. You have a bunch of egos and everyone wants to publish and have whatever sandcastles they can create, they can build. But it's been a huge change. And I love the change that's happening. But it has been painful as well, because you think you are that. And even recently, I actually changed. When people ask me, what do you do? I used to say without blinking, oh, I am a professor. I would use the am. And then recently I was like, no, I'm not. I work as is a title like anything else. I'm no different from anyone else. And the penny dropped. And that's it. I'm not different from anyone else. You know, I'm not even to aim like fixed a human. This is how it's happening in this reincarnation. But so it's been a long journey, if you imagine, you know, starting your career in 99. And, but I'm finding it really fascinating. And of course you observe from students, from your colleagues, the clinging for the sandcastle, the killing of their lives for the sandcastle, and which is elusive, absolutely elusive. There isn't, no. So anyway, just to share, because as you were reading the stars, I was like, yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, really, this identification is the problem. That is, of course, the key, you know, the self-clinging or self-identification. Like, and it works, of course, like Emilia was saying, if we drop it and not say, I am a professor, but I work as, or I have that job or whatever, that is also like Ishani. That is also like a positive distance we create again, you know, to the being a professor, and also but it also works in the opposite direction. If we have a negative situation, like if we are sick, you know, we should not say I am sick, but I have a sickness, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it creates the distance that implies it's not us and it's removable. You know, that is so important. You know, I mean. Pallavi, I saw your hand. I'm coming back to you, especially like if we, from the Buddha nature point of view, you know, like Buddha nature. It's also wrong to say that, but still, Buddha nature has afflictions or has there are defilements. You know, Buddha nature, we have defilements, we have kleshas. You know, that is, it's not totally right, but it's sort of better than saying. I am negative, you know, I am defiled, you know, it's just a temporal thing, an adventitious thing, you know, these defilements, they are very superficial and they are so removable because they are never our true nature. That is my point. So like Emilia is never truly a professor. and as you said, I think, if I understand correctly, not even really a human being by nature. Likewise, all the negative things also there. So therefore, like Emilia has no reason actually to be proud of being a professor, quote unquote. But likewise, also negative things. You know, like if I'm very sick, you know, I should not be so depressed or negative about it that I am by nature sick. You know, but sickness, kleshas, defilements is always adventitious. It's always not my nature. It's always removable, no matter how thick the clouds, you know, the sky is never destroyed by that, you know, never damaged, never really influenced. Pallavi.
Yeah, firstly, thanks, Amelia, for bringing that up. Actually, that was an example that I could resonate with my earlier part of my career life as well, to drop that validation and the labels and the designations. It was a huge working before I could shift to another phase of my life. So it's very painful, I know. And it's not easy. We can fool ourselves a lot. So that way, so thank you. Secondly, so I resonate with that little boy about the last part of not knowing what the lesson is, because I've built enough sandcastles and I know that it doesn't work and it's illusory, it is impermanent, and all the causes and conditions, all that possible. But my attachment to not knowing about what the lesson is. I mean, I really don't know sometimes. I mean, I might sound naive and stupid or ignorant, but I don't know. So how does one find that? I mean, because there's nobody to tell you. And yeah.
But I think you are talking about a deeper level. For this young boy, Linus is his name. For him, he doesn't understand that a sandcastle is impermanent, and therefore he is so attached to it, and therefore he is suffering so much. But that part you understood, right? So that lesson you have learned.
That I understand, and partially I could say not all of it is more than understanding. Some things are at an intellectual level. Some things are more than intellectual level, of course, at by heart. But yeah, I think if that question makes sense about, because he's trying to find out what lessons are these. Maybe there's something more to the lessons that I'm ignorant about, but how do I find out?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I was only trying to say that lesson you got, but then of course, when I'm in whatever situation, there can be so many lessons.
So I know there's a limited understanding to my lessons as well, is what I'm trying to say. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there may be a 6th lesson.
Exactly. Yeah.
But how do we find out? How do I become, aware of it?
Yeah, and that is, yeah, of course, that is super difficult. I just, for example, when I do whatever project I do, and then obstacles come, what is the lesson here? Shall I say, okay, obstacles come, that means maybe it's not a good project, so maybe I just stop it, Or shall I see it like, because that is also a Buddhist way of thinking, so many obstacles come, that means the project must be good, so therefore I should even continue stronger, So just like that, what is the lesson if an obstacle comes? That already is like you can go totally two different ways. So therefore, generally, I would I try in my life. I try to see the lesson maybe is always to go against my habits, that kind of thing. If I'm a quitter, then if obstacles come, then I should go stronger and try to finish the project, But if I'm somebody who is, I don't know how to say that in English, but if I'm too stubborn, maybe, and always do things like, even though all the signs are against it, then maybe I should learn to let go, Does that make sense? Or was it too self-absorbed? but generally, another example, if I would shout at you, and you so what is the lesson here? Are you supposed to accept it? Is that what you need to learn, to accept it and be patient and kind? Or maybe is that a lesson for you to learn to stand up for yourself, and shout back, So therefore, I think I would stick to my original answer, like check whatever your habit is, and then go against it, So if your reaction would be to be too understanding and empathetic with me, then yes, try to stand your ground, and the other way around. I saw Gayatri and Marlene, but Pallavi, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all the things that you said. It's not like one answer, but standing the ground, then cutting through your own habits. Yeah, that's the most important, cutting through the habits, and also standing the ground and questioning. I call it assertiveness, but yeah.
But I that was only one reaction I meant, because maybe if you are too much assertive, then in some situations you should be more, I don't know, more accepting, maybe, or if whenever something negative happens and I start to be too assertive and it has to be the way that I want, then my training would maybe be to learn to let it go and let it happen without my interference, Again, only to break my habit. But also as sorry, yeah.
It's a little tricky one. At that, you got to take the what do you say, lessons, or I mean, just an experiment, and then try one thing at a time and see where it goes.
And also, from Buddhist point of view, they would not really say lesson, you know, but still they would say it like what we meant, what I think in a discussion with Gayatri earlier, that everything depends on how you perceive it, you know. So like my example with the movie, you know, we both could go into the same movie and we perceive it totally different. So therefore, what I want to say, if you come into a lesson situation, you have so many possibilities to learn from it. You know, you can take it in, as you said, 5 or but maybe 20 different ways and learn from it. And I think if you're skillful and capable, why not? The more the better, you know. and then it might be getting too much, and then yes, you can come back to Bodhisattva and think, yeah, okay. Whatever happens, I can try to learn, take it as a lesson to strengthen my compassion and wisdom. You know, that is, then you are always on the safe side as a Bodhisattva. You know, if you, whatever happens, if it makes you more compassionate and at the same time you understand more, everything is illusory. But I know we, with a modern mind, we have, of course, so many other psychological diagnosis in our mind or perspectives. So and I find it totally fascinating to see things as a lesson and then to work on these hang-ups we have here. And but I think you are already so open, you know. So I'm sure you will find more aspects of a lesson in a lesson. The more you look, the more you will find.
I'd like to think so.
No, I think the more you look for it, the more you will find, and the more you will grow easily.
So one last question to this, in case there is an answer to this. Is there a safety net? Like you said, is compassion a safety net for that? Like, you don't know. I mean, you're not, I'm not skillful at all, actually. I don't consider myself skillful at all. So for me, if I'm not a skillful person yet and I'm still on the path, so what is the safety net? Is compassion a safety net to that?
I think the balance of compassion and wisdom is the safety net.
No, I mean, if I don't have the wisdom yet,
you have
compassion, but I'm still building on my wisdom, so then I can use compassion.
No, but from Buddha, not Buddhist, but Buddha's point of view, I'm talking about myself now, like, even though I would say the same, I have compassion, but no wisdom. But that's not true. For Buddha, we don't even have compassion, you know, because it's so dualistic, our compassion, it's so conditioned. And so therefore, both are very baby-like, you know, compassion and wisdom. But nevertheless, they are not zero, but just use the best possible compassion and wisdom you have at that moment. But then, yes, as a safety net, so as a lesson, so when there is a difficult situation, yes, then like I can use it to train in compassion. But then compassion is, of course, tricky because we also have to be compassionate with ourselves. And then the question is, so should we think more about the others or ourselves? Yes, then in the mind training, more about the others. But maybe we could just say generally, like, if we are in a situation, then think about what is best for the majority, you know, that kind of thing, and what is best for the long run, opposed to for the short-term benefit. And so what is removing more suffering, and maybe, and then with the wisdom, you know what is maybe, with the wisdom, then it helps you to decide what is more beneficial for more or for the long run. And then for your own sake, if you're able to see things as a dream, you know, if you in whatever lesson, that is half of the rent, we say in German. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like already half liberating, you know, if you can not only think but feel it's just like a dream, you know, then that makes it more playful, the whole lesson.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, Gayatri was raising her physical hand earlier, and then Marlene with her virtual hand.
Does Malina want to go? Since I've already spoken today, I don't want to take up everybody.
No, if you have to say something in the context of what was just discussed, it's good to you to talk.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have time for both of you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to share, something because that I thought might be helpful to others and to answer Pallavi's question also. I had taken a question to one of my Buddhist teachers. Ani, you might know her, Asha, right? So I'm a writer, so I had written a book. And the book was, there were newspapers were refusing to review it, and there were a lot of obstacles coming up. And here's the tricky thing about fame, right? And we may not crave fame. We may not be like, I want to be famous, but we want the things that we do to have a good path, right? And we see that as a sign of its success. We think that if I've, say, composed music, or if I've made a film, or if I've written a book or created something, it should do well. And we take that doing well as a sign of its goodness. That if it does well, then that means I have done a good job. So it's kind of difficult to separate fame from that. Because if you've done something and nobody reads it, then what was the point of creating it, right? So anyway, I went to my teacher with this, and she gave me a beautiful lesson, which I just wanted to share. And my complaint to her was, but I just want this to be useful to others, because then I think that is my bodhicitta, that is my path as a bodhisattva, is what I create must help another. And if nobody will review it or put it out there, what do I do? I'm blocked. And she said something that really made me rethink. She said, you think that the way of your book helping people is that they should read it. But for the reader, she might be looking for papers to line her shelves, and she might say, oh, this is nice. Let me use these papers to line my shelves. And it's very useful to her. So you don't get to decide what the usefulness of what you do is for another person. If your aim is to serve somebody through what you do, then you have to just create it and release it and let them use it in the way that it works for them. It can be to wrap lunch, it can be to line a shelf, it can be to soak up, something that is spilled. It doesn't have to be the way you define that it should be useful or purposeful to somebody else. And I think that that's a huge lesson also in our ego. A lot of you have spoken about academia and needing fame, and writing is a similar profession. In all our individual professions, we hope to be successful in that way. And I think when we realize that our ego defines in what way we are successful, when we step back from that ego and allow others to define it, that helps us considerably. And to me, that was the lesson that I think Pallavi was looking for, that when that sandcastle is destroyed, what is the lesson here? For me, the lesson was that, my ego is too involved in defining the way success happens. So just offering that in case it's helpful.
Thank you. And Marlene?
Yeah, I can speak. Whenever I am in a difficult situation, I really try first to examine what the motivation is. And if I really feel that the motivation has not to do with me and with my desire or my aspirations, but really with independent from a me, then I do it wholeheartedly. And if then it does not work out, then I rely on the karma, saying that karma can ripen and that perhaps all the miss moments that happen has to do with the ripening of my karma, and perhaps it works out well. So that was what I wanted to add to the discussion.
Thank you.
I think motivation is just so important, and really to examine oneself about the motivation one has.
And it also reminds me of the prayer, like, I don't know, the anonymous alcoholics, they use it, right? May I change the things that I can change, and may I accept the things that I can't change, and may I have the wisdom to distinguish these two, something like that. So this, yeah, the balance between active and passive, or also in gardening, you know, should I more cut the flowers or trees, or should I let them grow like naturally? That is always difficult to find the balance, you know, and yeah, yin-yang kind of style, learning by doing. Yeah, thank you, Marlene. I think time is over. I just wanted to share this, since I shared this song in the beginning, I just share you here the website where that particular song is, and you can also listen to the music. And then I wanted to say Happy Dakini Day. I forgot to say that. I think today is, yeah, the day to celebrate Dakinis, the beings who abide in wisdom and who glide through wisdom, like that's how they're called, Kanjol. And yeah, thank you so much for being interactive and sharing. And let's also share the whole thing now with all sentient beings in form of a dedication. And here, of course, we don't exclude anyone. And yeah, really everyone, doesn't matter which species, gender, color, and also doesn't matter if they're good or bad, you know, we share with all of them, and I guess the bad ones need it more. So here it is, oops. By this merit, having attained omniscience and defeated the enemy of wrongdoing, may I free all beings from the ocean of existence with its tumultuous waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. And then one prayer for the long life of the teachings of the Dharma by the great Shenton Master Dorpopa. May I, in each and every lifetime, carry the weight of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings. And if I cannot bear that weight, at the very least, may I be born with the burden of thinking that the Buddha Dharma could wane. Okay, thank you so much, and hope to see you soon, and take good care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was so good to see everyone. I miss you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
See you.